The heartbreaking truth. Why no one showed up to my husband's funeral. My painful journey, the weeks leading up to my husband's death, were filled with an odd sense of normalcy. We were living our everyday lives, managing our responsibilities, our relationships, and our little routines, all the while unaware that everything was about to change. His health had been gradually declining, but there was no specific moment where I felt like I should be preparing for the inevitable. In my mind, we had more time, more moments to share, more things to experience together. It was easy to push the idea of loss to the back of my mind, convincing myself that we were strong enough to face whatever came next, despite the occasional warnings from doctors and his struggles that were increasingly becoming harder to ignore. It wasn't until his sudden and untimely passing that I was jolted into reality. The shock of it all left me in disbelief. How could this be happening? How could I have been so blind to the fact that our time together was running out? The weight of my grief was overwhelming. Yet at the same time, it felt as though my world had gone into a surreal haze where everything moved in slow motion. But even as I was dealing with this devastating loss, something else began to bother me, something I couldn't quite explain at first. In the midst of this tragedy, my family, the people I expected to be there for me, seemed distant. They were absent during the moments when I needed them most. I tried to shake off the feeling, thinking perhaps they were busy with their own lives or didn't fully grasp the gravity of the situation. Yet, as the days went by, that silence only grew louder, and I began to wonder if something had shifted within our relationships without me realizing it. The strange absence of my loved ones lingered in my mind, making the grief even harder to bear. It felt like an emotional void that no one could fill. The day of the funeral arrived, and it felt like a blur. The weight of the loss was suffocating, but it wasn't just the absence of my husband that hurt so deeply. It was the overwhelming loneliness that accompanied the day. I stood there, surrounded by people I didn't know well, acquaintances and distant relatives who came out of obligation. But where were the people who should have been by my side in the most challenging moment of my life? My family, who I had always believed would be there for me no matter what, were nowhere to be found. Not my parents, not my best friend. Their absence left a gaping hole in my heart, one that nothing or no one could fill. I walked through the motions, handling the logistics, the ceremonies, and the well-wishers, all the while feeling disconnected from everything happening around me. I couldn't help but wonder why no one was there to hold me up. I had been there for them during their darkest times, offering support, lending an ear, and giving my heart to those who needed it. Yet when I needed it most, I was standing alone. The emptiness I felt wasn't just the absence of my husband, but also the emptiness left by the people who had always been a part of my life. It was as if the foundation I had built my emotional world on had suddenly crumbled beneath my feet. There were moments during the day when I thought I might collapse, but I couldn't let that happen. I couldn't break down in front of everyone. There was a sense of duty to keep it together, to at least appear strong. But deep down, I felt like I was drowning in my grief, my mind consumed by thoughts of why my family wasn't there. The pain wasn't just from the loss of my husband, but from the realization that the people I had trusted most had let me down in my moment of need. It was a betrayal I couldn't quite process, but it hurt nonetheless. As the days passed after the funeral, I couldn't stop thinking about the absence of my family and closest friends during such a crucial time. It wasn't just the physical void they left, but the emotional one that was far deeper. I kept replaying the moments in my mind, trying to piece together the reasons behind their absence. Had I done something to push them away? Were there unresolved issues between us that I hadn't noticed? I found myself grappling with questions that I couldn't answer, and with each passing day, my hurt only deepened. The silence from my parents stung the most. I had always been close to them, sharing everything, the good, the bad, the joyous, and the sorrowful. So, why did they stay away when I needed them? Was there something I had missed or failed to do? Were they grieving in their own way, perhaps unable to handle their own emotions or unsure of how to support me? I thought about reaching out to them, but the more I thought about it, The harder it seemed. I felt rejected, abandoned at a time when I needed love and reassurance. I couldn't fathom that they would leave me to navigate such an emotional storm alone. And then there was my best friend, the one person I thought would be there without hesitation. We had shared so many years together. Our bond built on trust and understanding. Yet, when I looked for comfort, she was nowhere to be found. I tried to convince myself that she must have been going through her own struggles. But the silence from her hurt just as much as the absence of my family. Was she too busy with her own life? Had something happened in our relationship that I didn't understand? I was left to deal with the pain of loss without the support of the people who had always been my rock. And the uncertainty about what had gone wrong left me feeling more alone than ever. The absence of my family and closest friends during such a difficult time made me reflect deeply on the role family plays in the grieving process. Losing my husband was a devastating blow, but not having my loved ones around to lean on felt like an even harsher punishment. In my mind, family is supposed to be there, especially during the most trying moments. They are the ones who are meant to comfort you, offer a shoulder to cry on, and help you navigate through the overwhelming sorrow. Their presence is the one thing that can make the pain of loss a little more bearable. Without them, I felt as though I was facing my grief alone, with no one to share the burden. The funeral, the burial, the days following it all felt so much harder without the warmth and support of those who should have been closest to me. In many ways, the grief was magnified because the people I needed the most were not there to share it. It made me question the very concept of family. Was it merely a title? Or was there a deeper connection that was supposed to be reflected in actions? I had always thought family would show up. No questions asked, but the absence of theirs made me wonder if I had been wrong all along. What hurt even more was the fact that I had always been there for my family and friends during their darkest times. I had supported them through losses, hardships, and challenges, never once hesitating to be their pillar of strength. So, why wasn't I afforded the same? It made me reconsider what it really meant to have a support system. Was I simply an afterthought in their lives? It also made me question whether family ties are as unconditional as we are led to believe, or if they are subject to the same misunderstandings and flaws as any other relationship. I began to realize that, while family should be there, it doesn't always mean they will be. And the pain of that realization added another layer to my already heavy grief. In the months that followed my husband's funeral, I began a journey of healing, one that was both difficult and eye-opening. Initially, the pain felt unbearable. The absence of my family, the people I thought would help me through, left me feeling even more isolated in my grief. But as time passed, I realized that I couldn't wait for others to validate my pain or offer the support I had hoped for. I had to find a way to move forward, even if it meant doing so alone. Healing wasn't a linear process, and there were days when I felt like I was taking 2 steps back for every step forward. There were moments when I still longed for the comfort of my family, the reassurance that things would get better if only they were there. But as I reflected on everything that had happened, I began to accept the reality that the only person I could rely on during this time was myself. I had always been strong, but this strength now had a different meaning. It was about finding the courage to face my pain and not let it consume me. I had to learn how to lean on my own resilience. Through this journey, I started to reconnect with parts of myself that I had neglected over the years. I rediscovered hobbies and passions that had once brought me joy. I began to nurture friendships that I had unintentionally put on hold. In many ways, I learned to appreciate my own company and found solace in the things that made me feel whole. It wasn't easy, and there were still times when the loneliness would wash over me. But slowly, I realized that healing doesn't always require others to be present. Sometimes, it's about rediscovering who you are, finding strength within, and understanding that, even in solitude, you are enough. My journey of healing taught me that moving forward doesn't mean forgetting or excusing the hurt. It simply means choosing to keep going, one day at a time, no matter what. If this story resonated with you, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and turn on notifications. You 1T want to miss more emotional journeys and real-life stories that could change your perspective. Join the community and stay connected.